8 hours ahead of me, CJ, coming at you from Sweden. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man. We're a day late, and that's my fault.
No, don't do this. Let's not get into.
We're a day late. I missed our
fault.
Thursday recording. I literally slept through it, like straight through it. I haven't done that much. I'm an adult.
Yeah, but like you had the jet lag, flew from Toronto to Sweden. You were pretty zonked.
Yeah, and I didn't sleep the first night, literally at all. Like we were in the group chat the whole night, my time zone. It was the day or the evening for you. But still, I woke up. We were supposed to record at 8 a.m. Stockholm time. It was like 10:30, and I was like, "Oh man!" Like, there's no way. If Julian's still awake, it's because he went to a bar. It's not because, he's not up waiting for you to do a podcast, and I'm here sleeping. So I'm sorry, bud, but we made it.
It's okay. I appreciate that, but like I've also had that happen where accidentally I've slept through radio hits and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I woke up late for a podcast recording once for this show. So let's call it even.
Okay. Do you know what's cool though, Julian? I'll say this. I've been in Stockholm now for 3 days.
Yeah.
I've had, I don't know, at least 10 people come up and say they love the show. What's going on? Is Julian here? So,
oh, wow.
Obviously I'm running in hockey circles here. I'm at these games and so I'm in the places where people would be listening to a hockey podcast, but still it's been cool to meet random people out here and realize that, we have a following in places you wouldn't expect, even if it's a small one. It's pretty neat.
I gotta say, it is really cool to know that our podcast goes beyond our respective rooms where we record. There are people in North America and out in Europe who listen to our show and subscribe to our show. So thank you so much to everyone in Sweden and everyone else who subscribes to our show. We've done 199 episodes.
Taximicet, Sweden.
What is
or
that?
Tusen Talk.
What does that mean?
Taximicet, I think, is loosely thank you very much. Tusen Talk, I believe, is Norwegian, but it seems like Swedes use it. It's like 1,000 thanks, like many thanks.
How good is your Swedish?
That's it. If we could do a whole show, how many Swedish words do I know? And we just recorded it. Like we could just stop now, pretty much. I got like skål, which is cheers. When you see someone, you greet them, you say tjena.
Okay.
Or tjena läget. But that's about the extent of my Swedish, if I'm being honest.
So Duolingo, did you download Duolingo before you left for Sweden?
I did not. I'm not pretending I'm going to learn it. I mean, I think if you can say thank you, you can say hi to someone in sort of the way they would say it to each other, skål or cheers. I mean, that's universal to be able to do that. So like, I've got the important parts down. And to be quite honest, at least in Stockholm, I mean, basically anyone I've encountered or everyone speaks some amount of English. So they're accommodating me, not the other way around.
So how's the hockey been in Sweden? Which I have to say, for a lot of people outside of the Ontario regions, that's a genuine question to ask. Not just because, hey, you're in the building and you get to take in the atmosphere, but a lot of people who would have wanted to watch Detroit and Ottawa play against each other, regional blackouts are a thing, and that kind of prevented us from watching that game. So when I ask how's the game, please be as specific as you can, because I did not watch a second of the game beyond whatever highlights I could watch because it was not available to me in my region.
That kind of stinks to hear that. Just because
it does not kind of stink. It absolutely stinks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it was 4-0 in the game for Ottawa, and then it goes to overtime at 4-4. So I just think any game that has that dynamic to it, it's a pretty interesting game. There was a lot of penalties in the third period. And somehow Detroit still gets to overtime, and then Tim Stützle ends it batting a puck out of the air to win in overtime. So from a pure hockey perspective, it was a cool game. The crowd was good. It's still kind of weird. Like, there definitely are fans of the teams here. Believe it or not, I mean, we'll see today the Leafs play, so maybe I'll learn that there's a ton of Torontonians or Canadians that came over that are Leaf fans. But the biggest fan group that I've seen is the Minnesota Wild fans. And they've yet to play as well, of course. But of the 4 teams here, Detroit, Ottawa, Toronto, and Minnesota, there's a huge number of Minnesotans that have come over as part of like a trip, I think, that the Wild put on, or maybe some tour agency there. And but then, you still have fans from across Europe. I met a guy last night before the game who came up and talked to me. He was wearing a Thomas Chabot jersey. and he's a huge Sens fan. And he went to school with David Pasternak when he played for Södertälje here in Sweden.
Oh wow.
Prior to going to North America and joining the Boston Bruins. So I guess my point is there's people of all kind of stripes and backgrounds, but I mean, I think if you live in Europe and you love hockey, love the NHL, you know, a lot of people are here. So it was a fun night, and it's a pretty big thing when you think about it that they're going to play 4 games in 4 days here in a market that isn't, you know, there's no home team. So that's a lot to ask of a ticket buying public, I suppose, or to hope. And so we'll see if maybe the enthusiasm dims as we go along, because we've only seen one of those games so far, but it's been pretty cool, and it's super dark here. I'm not using excuses for my sleep in, but I will say this: when you fly across the ocean and you're already just normal messed up from jet lag, and then the sun is barely up at any point, like it's a bit like being in Vegas. Like you don't know what time it is ever. Like the day is not giving you feedback on what time it is, and so even I know we're recording at 8 a.m. my time now. Like it feels like if you told me it was like midnight, 2 a.m., noon, I'd believe it. Like it just, I mean, it's just almost a little bit of a surreal experience, I think, all around to be at NHL games, 4 NHL teams here. That's the other thing. On Wednesday, all the teams practice. Like I was in press conferences for 4 NHL head coaches within a span of like 3 hours. It's pretty busy at the rink for that reason, and you know, it's cool. And I'm sorry that more people can't see the games. I mean, I don't know if the time is conducive to it anyway. You know, I'm sure some people had things to do on a Thursday afternoon just when I was at the game at night, but back home, I mean. But it was a good game. It was fun. And the other thing about this, like we could talk about all the sideline stuff, team bonding. They get the, you know, like I think it's a cool experience for the players and people who work for the teams, but it feels like a few of these teams are really kind of in it. You know, like the Wild have had a tough stretch here. Ottawa, I mean, that's a big win to come out 5-4, but, you know, they're not that far removed from their difficult stretch. The Leafs won the last 2 games before they came to Sweden, but it hadn't been all roses before that. So these games are actually important, too, because a few of these teams are still trying to establish themselves in the season.
By the way, I appreciate the fact that you sound like you are about to do some kind of ASMR recording.
What does that mean?
Your voice is very low.
Maybe it's because it's first thing in the morning. I don't know.
That's probably why.
Hello. Hey, Julian.
Sorry.
Coming at you from Stockholm, Sweden.
Are you trying to be the white Barry White? Like, what is this?
Well, I'm not trying, but...
Okay, I'll be more serious after that.
Hello, Julian.
I promise I'll be more serious after that. I just had to get that out the way. Oh man. Okay. How about more Leaf stuff? I know a lot of people were worried. Well, not worried, but people are obviously going to ask about William Nylander and his contract stuff. But he seems like he's enjoying his time being home. There's like a cute little video surfacing this week of all these kids approaching him and asking him questions. Yeah, and
I like that
great job by Jonas Siegel at The Athletic, writing a profile on William Nylander as well. How has he been enjoying his time in Sweden?
He is a man in his element, like his absolute element. He, without question, I would say of the 4 teams here, and obviously I think there's 17 Swedish players across the 4 rosters. He right now is the most popular, the most sought after from a media perspective. You know, he's doing the traditional interviews. He's doing the, you know, with people like me or you, if you were here. He's doing the stuff you see with those kids. I was at there was a Borja Salming docuseries premiere here on Tuesday, which I can't even put into words how crazy that was. I've never been to like a Hollywood movie premiere, but that's got to be the closest thing I've ever seen. There was 30 Swedish camera crews there, and literally any hockey star that's anywhere near this place was like walking the red carpet doing media with people like me, but even the other stuff, they're taking pictures there. I'm talking like, Matt Sundin, Nicholas Lidstrom, Henrik Zetterberg, Brendan Shanahan, Steve Yzerman. You had the active players, including William Nylander. And I don't know Swedish celebrities, but it seemed like every celebrity in Sweden was there. I mean, like movie stars and stuff too. Like it was bananas. And William Nylander, I'm just saying in that context of all of that, was, I know, I don't know if I can say he was the biggest star, but he was in the mix for being the one who drew the biggest reaction. Obviously kind of a stylish guy in general. And I think I just get the feeling that the sense from him that he just loves this. And that's kind of cool. To see, even being around the Leafs, like it's usually Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner's world, for these few days anyway. It just seems like William Nylander is the guy. And I don't know what that means. He'll do anything in the games or what will happen, but from an off ice perspective, he's the one. And I'm very curious. On Saturday, I heard that him and Matt Sundin are making an appearance in central Stockholm downtown together. And, Matt's is probably one of the biggest of all time Swedish stars. So I'm just curious to see how that goes over, what it's like. And yeah, you're right. William Nylander's everywhere. He's so hot right now.
Anything else you're looking forward to during your time in Sweden before we wrap up and go to Sports Interaction?
I haven't had any Swedish meatballs yet. I know that'll make someone cringe, but it feels like there's so much talk about them here. Like I used to think it was almost a joke, but then even like last night, Dominic Kubalik was interviewed on the scoreboard at the intermission, and he's talking about the Swedish meatballs. So I'm looking forward to getting like a good meal or two in before I go. Obviously, it's been busy in the best way possible, but there's a lot going on work wise, and I'm just glad that I'm not going to miss the next podcast while I'm here.